Okay, it's early, but we're going to do the next part of the genealogy. We're going to do Violet. She is my paternal grandmother. I didn't know anything beyond her. I didn't know her siblings. In my early 20s, 30s, I may have had a conversation or two with my dad that she had brothers. I had heard some information about some of them brothers that were kind of like, what? But yes, she, well, in finding out about, I don't know what to cover, and I don't know how much information to give, but she married my grandfather, the one that was my buddy. His name was Leonard. And like I said, I only knew those two. Nobody beyond them, no siblings of them, because they both passed. My grandfather passed. They lived in Texas, and I did get to see. She got sick first. She had some kind of digestion cancer. I was told at the time. Now I was 14, so everything was like, PG rated. And what an awkward position to not be the custodial parent. And I'm sympathetic to all of that. I did. First time I flew was to go down and see them all. They lived with my father. When they moved from Michigan down to Texas, they moved in with my dad. I did get to see them healthy once. And then at that time, we moved to Georgia, Marietta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. He drove over, picked me up, took me to Texas to go see Grandma. She was in the hospital. She had cancer. It was a very awkward time because I didn't spend a lot of time with my dad. I wasn't familiar really with the house. I mean, I was. I had only been there one other time, but it was weird because Grandma, when we went to go see her in the hospital, we couldn't wear like any perfumes or smells, cologne, and my dad had made a mistake of putting on aftershave one time, and as soon as we walked in the room, she was very violently sick from it. So I did get to see her. I was told that later that everybody believed that she was waiting for me to come because everybody else had been there at that time. While we were there at the hospital, I was in the waiting room with her daughter, which would be my one and only aunt. She had 3 living children, my father, an aunt, and an uncle. They were there, and I was in the waiting room, which had a little restroom off the side of it, and my aunt, who I knew nothing of, didn't spend any time with her, lived a very rough life. She was, I think, and this is all my perception at the time, and again, I was 14, a very bad alcoholic. And I do know that all of her children were at one point, and from stories that I've been told later on as I've gotten older, all of her children were removed. I only knew one of her, this would be her daughter, one of her daughters, and that's the one, it was her namesake, that she was close with. Anyway, she had went into the restroom, and then she opened the door, and I could see that she was not well. Actually, and again, I was 14, but she had blood down her mouth, and she yelled, and she was like, "I need help, come in here." And it was just a small restroom, and she opened the door, and I tell you, it looked like a scene from a horror movie. She had gotten ill, and it was everywhere. I mean, everywhere, like a horror scene. And so I yelled, and her brother, which would be my uncle, come running, and then it was a flurry of hospital workers grabbed her and put her on a stretcher and took off. I remember everybody was frantic. My dad and my uncle were rushed downstairs to give a blood donation. I do remember that, but then I was left with Grandma, who was violently ill and in late stages of her cancer. So that was all very, it was very traumatic to not be around those people very often. And that was a hard time. When I say that I lost everybody in that time frame, I did. Grandma ended up passing. I'll do another video on that. Some people look at me funny about that one, but because I was sent home to Georgia before she passed. Her daughter, my aunt, was stabilized and then moved back to Michigan somehow. I don't know. I only know that because I attended her funeral. She ended up passing, and I think it was cirrhosis of the liver. I'm not sure. But yeah. So I guess maybe I can go a little bit further. These are all going to be long, but when I was sent home to Georgia, I was in the 7th grade. I woke up one morning and I went to school, and it was roughly middle of the day. My mom had contacted the school and asked that they send me home. So it was a walk. I walked home, and as I was approaching the house, my mom was standing on the porch, and I could see she was upset. And as I approached, she said, "I need to tell you something. Your grandmother passed away." And I think I kind of blew her mind, because I said, "I know." The night prior, I was sleeping. My grandmother came into my room and woke me up and sat on the edge of the bed and had told me that she was passing, that she did pass, and she wanted to let me know that I was, she was watching out for me, and that she was okay, and she wasn't in pain anymore. And yeah, so I had already knew, and in hindsight, looking back and having conversations with my father, that was all true. They had brought her home. She wanted to pass at home, and she was in her room, and they had given her a bell if she needed something, and they said that they heard that bell, and they went in there, and that bell was not sitting next to her. It was away from her, which she was bedridden at that time. But that's how they found out that she had passed, is they heard that bell ringing, and they went in there to check on her, and she was gone. But I kind of blew my mom's mind, because I already knew. And I had gotten up and went to school, but at that age, I just thought it was like a dream, or that was the first time I've ever, no, I can't say that, because I had other things, like Gen X, with little brothers and siblings. We raised them. I don't want to say raised them, but I had other things happen, like I feared my brother was going to get kidnapped, and we went to a fishery one time, and I yelled at my mom and told my mom to get my brother off the dock, because I said that I seen that he had fallen in the water and was going to drown. So I made her get him off the dock. There was little things along the way, but then the grandma thing happened. So, but I'll stop this one here.